I'm thrilled to be joined by Tim Adams, sports journalist for Athletics Weekly, and someone who has a deep, wide-ranging knowledge of track and field. Tim, it's a pleasure to have you. Thanks for taking time to chat with me, and welcome to the channel.
Oh, pleasure to be here, Dwaine, as well. Kind of keeping that cross-Atlantic alliance going, I think, which is quite good.
Yeah. It was, to me, an absolutely electric weekend across all the national championship circuits, big performances, I think some major surprises and some really intriguing storylines as we head into Tokyo, which you will be there for. So I want to dig into some of these specific stuff, but before I do that, maybe if you had to think about the weekend, wherever it might be, what's the most single best moment for you in track and field last weekend?
The UK Athletics Championships, well, they were back in Birmingham at the Alexander Stadium for the first time in kind of God knows how long. They've been in Manchester, kind of at the
Yeah.
Etihad complex where Man City play, of course. But since the Alexander Stadium got refurbished for the Commonwealth Games back in 2022, the national championships have always been away from the stadium. So the fact that they were there back in Birmingham, of course, hosting the European Championships next year. For the first time, I think in the UK's history, we've hosted the championship. So that was fantastic to see. In terms of an individual performance, I can't think you can look further than the men's 800 metres at Hayward Field.
Yeah.
Cooper Lutkenhaus to run, I think, 1:42:27 as a
Yeah.
16-year-old. It's extraordinary. You know, fourth on the US all-time list, broken the 16-year-old, 17-year-old, and 18-year-old world age record. It's beyond belief, to be honest, that someone at that age can run that quickly and in the manner that he did down that home straight as well, with a pretty severe kick. And he overtook a lot of athletes. So,
Yeah.
yeah, that would be the standout performance, I guess, if I was to look at the weekend. And it's not often a winner of a race gets overshadowed, especially a guy like Donovan Brazier, who's come back
Right.
from this long-term injury, and then a 16-year-old runs that time for seconds. But yeah, the US have got a hell of an 800-meter team for Tokyo.
They do. I was really that. I'm glad you went there. I think that for me was the most impressive performance all weekend. You got to give it to Donovan Brazier for sure. You saw him come back this season after a horrendous period of time off the track, and you never know. And he started off, and he just keep on PBing, and he comes here and he just overtakes these guys, runs a personal best, 1:42:16. Then, as you say, Cooper, the kid, like that's really ridiculous running. I don't even understand it. I haven't really spent enough time to digest the science behind that either. And then to beat the likes of Bryce Hopper, Josh Howie didn't get on the team.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
amazing there. Yeah.
It's one of those performances that people will remember for decades and decades. And if Cooper can follow in the footsteps of another American teenage prodigy back in the 19
Oh
kind
yeah,
of
Jim.
back in the, yeah, Jim Ryan. So if he can replicate that, he's doing something good. But I mean, the men's 800 meters on a global level is just extraordinary at the minute. I mean, who would have thought that we would be talking about potentially David Radisha's world record of 1:40:91 being
I'm glad you
broken
went there too. Yeah.
at some point in the next, well, I think it will happen in the next 2 or 3 years. I don't think it will happen this year. I think there's a chance it could happen next year. I think a
Right.
lot of the guys, Emmanuel Wanyonyi, Michael Arop, they're only going to get better with
Right.
age as well, and they're finding out a lot about the events kind of naturally when they race competitively against each other. So yeah, I suspect Cooper, could he get to the final? Yes, but I mean
Yeah.
he's done immensely well already.
No, I'm interested. I'm glad that you went there too, because I was going to ask you about the prospects of the 800 meters too. Yeah, for my liking, coming into before Cooper now or others, I was saying the only guy I saw with the ability to break the Radisha record would be Wanyoni. Especially if we went back last year when he did that 1:41 in Nairobi, which was ridiculous. Maybe if we do the back end calculation, it equates to something slightly as good as what we saw in London 2012, which I thought was the greatest thing in 2012. And I didn't think we would be talking about world records at this moment. And it's just stuck, right? You can run 1:41 and not make the podium at an Olympics. It seems like it's strange. It's not. It's way beyond the years of Ko and and Ovett and all
Yeah.
those guys. And even when we talk about Wilson Kipketer from back in the day, I don't know if remember him too, but I was like, and now Radisha, and then all these guys, Arap, as you mentioned, Tua, Sedrati, even earlier this season, Masalele. I don't know how to understand what will happen at the 800-meter final. If the conditions are right. It could go, but as you say, it may take a year or two. Yeah.
I think there's unpredictability. I mean, you talk about Kip Katir. I mean, I was, I think, 1 or 2 years old when he was breaking those records.
Okay.
So it's a weird situation. I mean, my dad had just started out at kind of work when Seb Coe was breaking his British record in 1981. So
Right.
the fact that that's lasted out, until it's still going. I mean, Max Bergin was one of the performances, if not the performance of the UK championships. He ran 1:43 again. I mean, he's got sheer consistency and he goes out hard. He sticks with the others and he stuck with Wanyonyi and, et al. At the London Diamond League and did really well there as well. But Max Bergin, if he was running that 3 or 4 years ago, you'd be saying he's the gold medal favourite. Now you're saying, could he finish 5th or 6th or 7th? The men's 800 has come on so much within the last 2 years. It's ridiculous. And I think the fact that Cooper ran that time and Donovan Brazier's time in Oregon was quicker than the time that he got the World Championship title in Doha.
In Doha, yeah.
It says a lot about where the event's at.
It is. I think it's a matter of time. I have to say, I'm still trying to think. I would slightly give the 100-meter hurdles as the most competitive event in track and field, probably now the 800 meters, but it's somewhere there. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. I mean, the 100-meter hurdles stands out as well for sure.
Oh yeah, you can't pick that. If you do, I don't know. It's just like you.
Good luck to you. I'll say that much. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, since we touched on a couple of things, let me go straight to British stuff, and we can go around in the different ways you want to think about it. Amy Hunt, how surprised are you by Amy Hunt, 100-meter champion? Daryl Neita false starts, 200-meter silver PB 22:14, probably with a better dip. You could say could have beaten Dina Asher-Smith. What's your take on her? Younger than the rest, yeah.
I'm not surprised and I'm not shocked. I know Amy quite well on a personal level as well. We chatted in mix zones on multiple occasions this year, and she's always someone who comes across as someone who doesn't particularly want to leave the mix zone because she's chatting so much and wants to get her journey and her opinion out about where she's at as an athlete. She's very self-aware, educated. I mean, people talk about Gabby Thomas at Harvard. Amy Hunt's gone to Cambridge University. Very clever, very erudite, speaks really well, and comes across incredibly well in camera. And she's someone who is training out in Italy at the minute with a guy called Marco Arale, who actually used to coach Daryl Neita before Daryl went to Lance Browman in the US and Florida.
So she's out in Padova? Is it Padova?
It's around there, yeah. It's pretty idyllic. It's a bit better than training in the UK, I think, in terms of temperature and food. I'll say that much. But Amy, she's been compared to Kathy Cook, who, of course, was this proficient athlete for Great Britain back in the 1980s, and someone who had an electric top end speed. Amy's not short of confidence. She was talking about potentially even challenging Julian Alfred to me after she ran at the London Diamond League, and believed she knew how she could even beat Julian Alfred maybe in a couple of years' time if she got things right. And I thought, crikey, that's a hell of a statement, given Julian just ran 21.71 in London.
Into a headwind,
into a headwind, and I think could run a lot quicker as well. I mean, Amy, at the minute in the 200s, she's in that 22.23 shape. I think she can run sub 22 within the next year, the rate that she's going. And the reason I say that is because her top end speed is that good. If she can get the bend right, then I think anything is possible, because her top end speed, for me, rivals some of the best athletes in the 200 right now in the world. I mean, you saw at the UK Champs, Amy came through like a train when she was kind of 50, 60 meters out, and Dina had to dip to get to the line. 22:14 obviously was the time there. So yeah, I think Amy is one of the most exciting European, let alone British sprint kind of prospects around. But again, she was a world under 18 record holder in the 200 meters, so she had Cambridge and a lot of injuries. She came back from both, and I think she's now fulfilling the potential that I think a lot of people, when she was a junior athlete, saw at that point as well.
So you're saying you think she could be in the final in Tokyo for the 200?
Oh,
Yeah.
100%. Yeah, I
And,
think
and you think
Dina.
she'll do the double? How's that working out? Because I know Daryl did. Will they give Daryl a run for the 100?
I suspect so. I mean,
Mm.
Daryl finished fourth in the 100 meters at the Olympics. You
Yeah,
can't ignore that. I mean, Daryl, by her own standards, she will be the first to say she hasn't had as good as a year that she's had compared to previous years. But
yeah,
she's with Lance. Lance
yeah,
has obviously got Noah to where he's at, and that partnership will flourish, in my view, down the line.
yeah. Cool. And Dina Asher-Smith back as national champion. Left coach Flo. What's up with that?
Yeah, I actually don't know. I mean, I wasn't in Birmingham myself. My three
Right.
colleagues at AW were, and I
Yeah.
saw the headlines which came out from the Mixon interview that one of my colleagues did with Dina. And I thought, hold on a minute, is that correct? And then I
Yeah.
saw the interview, and I thought, oh crikey, yeah, she's back in London. I don't know the ins and outs, but clearly Dina, I think, made a decision after pre-classic to go back to London, and the
Mm.
races that she's had since then at the London Diamond League, I think that's the best that she's looked in a very long time. And
Yeah.
then the run at the weekend as well was, by Dina's standards this year, pretty good. Dina again, I think, could quite easily run sub 22 seconds in Tokyo if she gets it right. She is not short of experience at these
Yeah.
championships, and I think people don't realise how much that helps when you're in a 65,000 capacity stadium in a country halfway across the world, when you're up against the world's best, channeling that experience and what you've done before. She's a world 200 meter champion from Doha, of course. So you know, she will be a threat in terms of, I think, making the final, and then we'll see what happens there. On paper, you'd think it's Julian, Sharika, and Melissa, but
Right.
in reality, anything can happen.
Anything could happen, and I have high hopes for Dina. I feel sorry for her too. I think she has unfinished business in Tokyo. If we went back to the last Olympics, was it a hamstring injury? She didn't get to
Yeah.
fulfill what she needed, and I really thought the flow thing would work out. I thought it was a bold move when she made that decision to leave her longtime coach to go to Texas there. And the camp there is just such a tough camp too. And I don't know. I mean, I guess we'll find out in due time why she had to leave. But I do wish her well, because I think a nice athlete you won't find. I don't believe. I think she's really good for the sport. Been
One of
saying
the
this for
most
many
down to earth
years.
athletes you'll ever meet in your life. And if
Yeah,
you're looking for a role model and someone to be relatable, Dina is that person.
yeah. And I think she'll be golden. I think the 200 is difficult to say beyond. I suspect Julian Alfred right now and Melissa. I have to see what Sharika does. She hasn't, run freely much since, coming back from the injury
Well,
last year.
Gabby Thomas is the other
And
one. I
Gabby
mean,
Thomas,
she's
yeah,
just making the American team, but of course she's
yeah,
had what appears to be an injury in the last few
yeah.
weeks. So,
She did
you know,
say something about an Achilles injury, and she after the
yeah,
championship, so she was just kind of happy. So I don't know what that means when athletes say they have that kind of injury. You worry a lot too, whether it gets much more serious. Yeah, yeah. But it should be an exciting thing. I think, speaking of 200, Zarnel, I thought that curve from Zarnel, Glenn Mills would be happy with that. It's the best I've seen him run a curve in a long time. The wind was decent, but the conditions could have been better. So he looks good there. Yeah.
he's one of those athletes that you never quite know what to expect because he's someone who, I mean, he's a 19.73 runner. If he
Yeah.
can run that time in Tokyo, he's got a shot of getting a medal. I
I
mean,
think so.
that you'd think on paper, Noah, Tobogo, Bednarek, they're going to be up. Courtney Lindsay as well will be up
Yeah.
there, but Zarnel has the ability when it matters the most to turn it on. I mean, 1990, it's a good time. I mean,
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting Noah to run that quickly, to be honest,
Yeah.
at the US trials, especially given he's already got
The buy.
the wild card in that event. I mean, it goes without saying. I think half the reason why he wanted to do that, one, because of the training, but two, because Bednarek was in that race as well.
Yeah.
So, and I think given what happened after the race, that was made abundantly clear. Yeah, I mean, Zarnel again has come on leaps and bounds, and I do think if he can run anywhere near 19.73, that could be third, that could be fifth, that could be sixth. I
Right.
don't think it will be enough to that time. I think 19.4, 19.5 wins gold in Tokyo, and
Yeah.
realistically, it will come from America or Tobago. But again,
Yeah.
Zarnel has the ability.
I agree. We have to see what shape Tobago is in. He's been having up and down seasons since he kind of pulled out of that stuff in Doha and then he came back. Didn't look so good recently. The Noah thing is interesting too. I have to be honest with you. I wonder if he's playing games with us because, late entry into Monaco and he beats Tobago, which is, it was a statement for me. Pops up in London, wasn't so good in the 100. He hasn't been really good in the 100. Oblique Sevilla till he dominated that thing. And then he comes to the US Championships, and I'm like, okay, he's just going to train, work, do the rounds. It's the best opportunity for him to field back to back races in a relatively quick time. And then the thing with Kung Fu Kenny at the end, I just don't. First of all, beating him, I was a bit shocked because I didn't think he would have. I didn't think he was in that kind of shape. So, your take on that, your take on the bust up too, which is. I can take bust ups, the physical stuff. I don't know if I like that.
Yeah, it's one of those where I think when it comes to Tokyo, people will still be talking about it. It's something that you see more in a boxing press conference than you do at the end of a track meet. But at the same time, uh, again, is it good for the sport? It generates headlines. It generated headlines in the UK here in the BBC. I
Right.
saw it did in America as
ESPN.
well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it will get people talking. I was in the press conference, and Noah's a clever guy. He really is a clever guy. I was in the press conference in Budapest where he was talking about champions of the world and how much that upset the NBA. But
Right.
I think what there was a strategic thinking behind what he said there because he knew that if he could get your Stephen Smiths of the world involved and chatting then about track, then it would get into the mainstream in the US, of course, and it did.
Right.
And I think Noah understood that Kenny has been on this pretty big run. That a lot of people were saying that Kenny, with the bookies, is the favourite for the 200 metres. And I think there was a lot of, I'm going to shut you up essentially in that race and lay down a marker, prove a point. And right now, if you said to me, who's the favourite for the 200 metres based off the US champs, I'd say it's Noah Lyles.
No, I think I can't disagree with that. I've taken a lot of heat for saying no, he isn't ready, but I think he is. I mean, he shows up, and Kenny's response is, "Well, let him." He wasn't fresh, but I don't know if that's the response you want to make in the moment there, right? But he ran 5 rounds or how many rounds Noah did. But yeah, I know it takes the 200 meters seriously. It's his baby. I guess it's the same way all Usain used to think about the 200. He
Yeah,
wouldn't mind losing 100, even though he didn't like losing at all. But the 200, you don't mess with it. And so far, he's looking good and he has that experience. And the thing, now, he's like, he's hunting truffles. If he smells fear, he will find it, and he will exploit it. So that was an
and
interesting thing.
I think for Noah as well, the fact that obviously what happened in the 200 meters with COVID and the Paris Olympics, and not
Right.
just as a sporting story, but as a news story, that was one of the biggest throughout the entire games. And I think he wants to set the record straight within the 200 meters in Tokyo and say, look, what happened there was a blip. It was freakish. I'm
Mm.
back. This is me. And I'm going to prove a point again at the World Championships.
Yeah, no, I think that's where he's probably going to be, and we'll see. I think that's one of the major things to watch out for. I guess a lot of that will boil down to the 100 meters too, how people manage that, how
Yeah,
he himself manages the 100. I've been saying for a while since he started to double. he hasn't really dropped anything better than a 19.5 after doing the double. So is 19.5 good enough? It might be good enough. It depends on if Let's Seal is in better shape. But we'll have to wait and see there. Yeah.
No, for sure, for sure.
Yeah. What's your take on Charlie Dobson? I thought he, showed up. What's his ceiling? He's a 44-14 guy. Can he go sub 44? Hudson Smith, is he injured, right? What's this take on Hudson Smith as well, too? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, firstly, it's exciting. I think pretty not since the 1990s where you had the Ewan Thomases and Roger Blacks of this world. Have you got two British 400-meter runners coming through? I mean, I actually wrote an article 3 years ago for AW, essentially saying, where on earth are our 400-meter guys? And I chatted to Roger Black and people like Ewan Thomas and Chris Akabusi as well. And it's exciting because I think Charlie, I mean, I don't think anyone, even Charlie himself, was expecting to win the London Diamond League like that,
Right.
to run down the likes of Mass and Vernon Norwood and others. It's an interesting one in Tokyo as well, because I think Quincy Hall is obviously out. Yeah, he's injured. So in theory, you think is it more open than Paris? I'd argue yes.
I think so.
Is Matt in the same shape that he is in Paris? Can he run 44.4, 44.3 again? I don't know. I think Charlie can run 43.8 in Tokyo. I think he's on a trajectory at the minute where if he can get the middle part of that 400 meters right, he's a good starter. I think he's an amazing finisher. And it's like he's a 400-meter runner that you don't know has got lactic. He comes across as someone who's already got, stuff in the bank when he needs it in that final 100 meters. But he at times can get a bit drawn into the race and can be a bit far back to the top guys right now. And obviously, you don't want too much of a gap if you're going to make up that time in the final 100 meters. I think Charlie can get a medal in Tokyo. If he runs well, if he can run 43.8, I think that could be enough for a medal. And
I believe so too this year because, it's interesting. Nene has the fastest time in the world this year. There's no Quincy Wilson, who also had a 44.10. He got knocked out early in the first thing. There's those guys from the US, but no one is really doing anything that we would say would push you into a low 43 fours that would say you can't get in the medals. I don't know what we'll get from Karani James. He might pop up and do something, but he's at the end of his career. Certainly the guy from Bahamas, Stephen Gardner, he's been plagued with injuries. He pulled up a few times, I think even on that Grand Slam thing. So I think it's wide open.
Yeah, Matt, I've said this I was actually on BBC Radio London a few weeks ago, and I said to the guys there that I think Matt, fitness dependent, can win the gold medal in Tokyo, but the fitness will be the big determinator of that, because his top end is, for me, the best in the world out of the guys right now, given he got the Olympic silver medal and Quincy Hall's not there. But at the same time, we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. And, he probably should have won in Budapest, but, Jamaican guy was a surprise there. And it's an interesting one to have happen. Yeah. Oh, let's talk a little bit about women's 800 on your side of the thing. Keely Hodgkinson, we haven't seen her in a while. Keeps pushing back. Any updates on that? And also Georgia Bell. I think she should go for this 800 meters. I think I saw an interview after the British Championships where they were saying they're thinking about it still, but perhaps she should try the 800 because the 15 might be a bit tougher than even last year.
Yeah, I mean, firstly in Georgia, and I've got to know kind of both really well over the past few years. I mean, Georgia, I was at the Paris Diamond League when Georgia kind of competed there, and she came into the mix zone and I chatted to her, and I believe, I could be wrong, that was the first time that she said in any interview, I'm debating about prioritising the 800 metres over the 15. And I was like, whoa, okay, you're the Olympic medalist, bronze medalist in the 1500 metres. But the more that you think about it, it makes sense. She's the second quickest 800 metre runner in the world this year, I think behind Daguma. She's got a 156 PB from, I'm not sure if it's a PB or not, but she ran 156 in London to win. She came from nowhere.
74, I think,
Yeah, she came from nowhere in Stockholm to win that as well. So she showed that in a tactical, slower race, she can get over the line there. I think I don't know. I mean, she said after Birmingham that she's going to be doing, I think, one Diamond League 800 meters and another 1500 meters, and she'll decide after that. My gut feeling, and this is just my personal feeling, I don't know any information from the camp, for example. My gut feeling is that she will prioritize the 800 meters because I think when you look at the strength in depth of the 1500 meters with Faith Kipyegon, I mean, well, Tedji will be going to be up there as well. It's ridiculous. And Georgia could run 3:52 and finish fourth. It's Jess Hull you could put into that bracket as well. Whereas if Georgia can run 1:55, and I believe she can, low in Tokyo, that could be enough to win the 800 meter gold medal, let alone the silver or the bronze. I think Keely, a bit like a Jakob, is someone who's incredibly talented, world class on their day, but has been out injured for a long time. So there is that unpredictability factor within that as well. I mean, Keely at the European Championships last summer in Rome had an illness and she still won the gold medal. So she's shown that with her B game, she can run a 1:56, 1:57. I don't know. It's unpredictable. You could potentially have both Keely and Georgia on the 800 meter podium in Tokyo. And for the sports in this country, that would be ridiculous. So, it's exciting. But I think Georgia, my personal feeling is that the 800 meters would probably be a better option than the 15.
I agree with you. I would take a strategic calculation here and do that because no one is really outside of Tejas there, Dugama. You could say will definitely be on the podium. Miramore isn't having a good season. I like Prudence Sedegodisa there from South Africa. She could do something, but it's an open space. I think if you're Keely too sitting there saying, if I can get into shape, if I can get on this team, I can run my way on a podium too. It's not hot as the 1500. We're not talking about 348s here from Fate. If you get a resurgent Gudov Sagai, if they decide to do this, Jess Hall, Welteje, you, as you rightly point out, you might run a PB and not even see fifth place. I may see fourth or fifth place. It's just tough like that.
Yeah. I mean, the middle distances. I mean, I was in Paris at breaking 4, and Faith has obviously, off the back of that, set the world 1500 meter record again. So she's in a league of her own. And if you're looking at a gold medal, in the 1500 meters, she's almost got that locked down, to be honest.
Yeah, unless, I can't see her not winning that unless Beatrice Chibet was to decide to not run and maybe put some competition down low. But I don't even still think I don't think she can beat her on that.
Yeah, I agree.
Either. Yeah. All right. I know you got to go soon. So I'm going to get a couple more from you. So do Team GB star favorites in the women's 4x1?
I would say you guys. I'd say the Americans are favourites, but with Amy, Dina, Daryl, and it would be interesting to see who the other one is because Imani Laura Lantiquo is injured at the minute, and they either go with experience with Desiree Henry, and she was part of that quartet who ran, I think, something like 41:79 in London, which is the third quickest time
in wet conditions, right?
Yeah, the third quickest time ever from a GB women's 4x1. And if they run that time in Tokyo, they're going to get a medal. I mean, let's be honest. I would say it's America and then GB, and then after that it's a toss up. But maybe I'm praying that one of the American girls drops the baton. I don't know. A bit like the guys.
You guys have really good stick passes, though. Yeah, if you get it right, I think it could happen. The Americans are always strong. The Jamaicans should come with something, but you're just not sure what's going on there too. But we wait to see. They haven't shown true good colors yet too. But
Success Edgewan, who was part of the World Relays team, who actually beat Sharika Jackson in the
on the anchor there,
on the anchor leg. I mean, that's if they take the youthful option, I guess. I mean, success by name, success by nature. So we'll see if that comes to fruition, I guess.
Yeah, and the men should have a chance too. You would think, right?
Potentially. I mean, it's fascinating with the Americans because Kenny and Noah are likely to be on that 4x1 team. So how the dynamics there are going to work, I don't know. And an American 4x1 team who, safe to say, have a pretty strong history of dropping the baton at major global
Yeah,
championships. But
yeah,
yeah, I mean, our guys that they're good. I think the girls are better. To be fair, as a 4x1 team for the top medal chances, but
yeah.
you've got Jeremiah Ozu, Louis Hinchliffe, Zarnel Hughes. It's pretty
Okay.
strong.
No, I think you have a really good team. If you get it right, you should be in the mix. Canada always pops up here and there, but they don't seem to be doing as well as we would think. There's injuries there to deGrasse too. So it's open. I think if the Jamaicans can get it right, they could really go far this time. They got a bunch of guys, they're Kishane Thompson, Oblique Seville,
Yeah,
Akeem Blake, Brian Level, a bunch of guys doing some good stuff there. So it could be a special race there. Yeah.
I think South Africa as well are the ones to
Oh yeah,
watch
South
there.
Africa. Yeah,
With Akani Simbini,
yeah,
Walaza, they've got a
yeah.
very, very good side.
No, for sure. I think they're medal for sure too if they can get it right. Akini Simbini, if he had a soft spot, you hope he could find his way on a medal podium in 100 meters. But that's, I don't know. He's been running well this season, and he took a break. I don't know. Yeah. All right, Tim. I don't want to take up much more time. I really appreciate you stepping on. We could talk for hours. I have a bunch more stuff to talk about, but we save that for another time. I hope you have a good rest of your week and safe trip getting there down to Japan, and maybe we can keep in touch. And we follow you on X. It's Tim Adams 76, right? And Instagram.
On X, then Instagram's Tim Adams 97. Yeah, get that right.
All right, cool. Well, we'll get this out. We'll splice it up. I'll share it with you, and hopefully, you enjoy the experience chatting with me, and we can do it again.
Legend, man. Thanks so much, Dwaine. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much. All right, take care.
Thanks so much.